Hi, I'm Kat, and this is today's tarot. We're going to start off with going through the cards, and then I'm going to go back and talk more about the astrology references that the reading is touching on today, because there are quite a few. And so if you want to stick around and learn more about the astrology that's going on today and how that's showing up in the cards, then stick around until the end here. The opening card that we have for today is the Hierophant. The challenge that we have is the King of Wands. The way we're going to get through the challenge is the Page of Pentacles. And the overall outcome that we have for today is the Cosmos card, also known as the World in the traditional Rider-Waite deck. So let's go ahead and start into today's tarot. The Hierophant is bringing up a sense of teaching today that's going to come through by way of our body or by way of our belief system. And I say by way of our body because this card rules Taurus, and Taurus governs the body, and it governs something that we have a discipline around. And by doing that discipline, it's going to reveal something to us that is of very great value. And it's something that we can only realized by this experience that we've been having of whatever activity opens this up for us today. The challenge that we are facing today could be a person. It also could be, an aspect of ourselves. It comes through as the King of Wands, which is governed by Leo energy. And the challenging aspect of Leo energy is a person who's highly sensitive, like their ego is, really strong, but they're also really sensitive about having anyone talk to them about it. So you could run into a person that has that character trait, or someone that that's in your life could have, some aspect of their personality kind of stepped on today, which kind of makes them a little bit more difficult to deal with, to say the least. It could also be speaking to like your own corn being pressed on, your own value system, your own sensitive heart kind of being disregarded a little bit today, and that being a challenge that we need to work with. Now, the way we're going to get through that challenge is the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is all about where we put our attention and what we're putting our attention to. We can go throughout the day and focus on every single thing that agitates us and speak about every single thing that agitates us and make it bigger. And this card is ruled by Virgo, which tends to focus on very small things and make them much, much bigger. But the positive aspect of this card is actually paying attention to the details and putting your attention on things that are practical and that are useful, and on routines that actually can bring you out of, a place that could be, self-defeating in a lot of ways. And so the Virgo energy is about, these hummingbirds are playing in front of me. Sorry, I got a little distracted by that. They dive bombed each other right in front of me. The Virgo energy is like putting our attention toward practical things. So if you find yourself kind of distracted by something that you're highly sensitive to today, instead of focusing on that energy, turn your energy towards something that is nurturing to yourself and brings self-care to yourself or those that are around you. The overall energy that we have for today is the Cosmos card. So this card is related to Saturn, which lends this energy of time and understanding things from a perspective of time. So, what can we learn through our own experience by actually taking a few steps back and realizing, in the grand scheme of things, where do we want to aim towards, and how do we progressively move towards that? How do we set time aside to do that? In way of routine. So when we can combine these energies of responsibility, which ultimately is responding to our own needs and responding to our own self-care and responding to the demands of life in a practical, earthly way, it allows us to show up from a very solid place. And, Saturn is a place that is, or is a, is a place, it is a planet that is associated with restriction and limitation, but in some ways if we can limit ourselves, we can grow within that limitation, much like, you know, if we limit how late we stay up, it allows us to actually like get a start on the day and get more things done that we feel called to do in the next day as we move forward. So we do have two major arcanas that came in today, the Hierophant and the Cosmos card. So we are, you know, doing some self-development today and realizing some deeper truths about ourselves and what direction we want to move toward over the rest of the summer and through the rest of this year. So let's take a consideration of what's going on astrologically and how that's showing up in today's reading. The Hierophant, as I had mentioned a little earlier, is related to Taurus, and right now we have planet Uranus in Taurus. So Uranus, as I've suggested in other previous readings, is this planet that brings about unexpected changes to outworn conditions that stand in the way of our progress. And Uranus is a planet that has all those qualities, and it's been in this placement of Taurus, which basically means, if you want to just consider visually, if you were to consider a clock, and there are 12 pieces of pie in that clock, each piece of pie within that clock would represent a zodiac sign, right? So you have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So you have these 12 pieces of the pie. And this pie is like a dial that shifts throughout the day. And then you also have, we shift actually on Earth. So it looks as if this dial shifts throughout the day by our perspective, right? Because the sun rises and sets. And the sun right now, today, moved into Leo, okay, which is actually the second card that we have for today. Now, we also have the planet Venus that just moved into Virgo, which is associated with the Page of Pentacles. And we have Saturn, which is in Aquarius, which has been in a square-ish position to Uranus, and that's represented by Cosmos here. So we have this dial, and so when things are on a square, for instance, right now we have Uranus, which is in Taurus and on this dial, and then we have Saturn, which is on Aquarius, which is up in this point in this dial. So this is a 360-degree dial, and these are square relationships, which means that they're at a 90-degree angle, which is a challenging angle. And so we have, this challenging relationship, which is causing movement and bringing about movement, much like a tire iron, like to loosen a bolt in something, to fix possibly a wheel that might have been flattened, you need some friction, you need some torque. And so that 90-degree angle gives you that torque, and it creates, in a sense of astrological symbolism, a hard angle, which is challenging. And so we have, Uranus, which is upsetting our belief system and our sense of material values, because that's what Taurus represents in our lives. And Taurus is in, depending on your natal chart, some different placement of houses, which is why I suggest people get a reading from someone or get their chart looked at so they can know what I'm referencing when I'm referencing these placements. But so Uranus has been in the placement of Taurus for a couple of years, and it's been creating a change in that value system and over our financial situation, because Taurus governs our individual personal monetary situations, and Uranus has been upsetting that over the last couple of years. And then we have Saturn, which is in Aquarius, which is in a square relationship to Uranus, and Saturn is in Aquarius, which is this planet that gives a wide horizon kind of view, and also is a place where we become detached from things that no longer work. And Saturn has been moving through that house, and so has been giving us a sense of restriction and also a sense of responsibility and accountability in, wherever Aquarius is sitting in your chart. So that's interesting. So we have these two cards on either side of the reading. We have the the opening card, and the overall outcome is these two cards. And then on the middle, we have the challenge today is Leo, which is ruled by the sun, which ironically, the sun today just moved into the sign of Leo. And we have Virgo here, which, as I said, Venus just moved into Virgo. So we're working with this combination of, Virgo with Venus energy is someone who is now looking at like what they need to tend to in a practical way. Like, for instance, tending to matters around the home, cleaning up unnecessary things, tending to your personal appearance, tending to, but in a loving way, in a way that you're like nurturing yourself and taking care of yourself in a very practical but loving way, because there's this combination between Virgo and Venus energies, rather than, just letting yourself kind of get pushed beyond your boundaries and get kind of burnt out because you're just like outshining and overshining today. Because this came in as the challenge, and then the way that we were going to get through it was the Virgo energy. So it's interesting, like the way that astrology can show up in tarot is pretty powerful, I think. So it adds another layer to the reading. If you are interested in looking at what's going on for you astrologically and how these transits are showing up for you, I draw my clients' charts for them, as well as, talk them through what they came in through natally, and then where things are right now and how that's affecting them. I also offer tarot readings, and if you know what time you were born, we'll go through at the very beginning of that reading and look at what's going on with some of the outer planets, specifically because they are slow movers in the sky, and so they can have the longest lasting effects on us and create the biggest impressions on our day. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out and we will schedule some time. I could also do a recording for you if that works best for you. So I wish you well on this day of the sun now being in Leo, and I wish you well. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.